They're lying to you. Again, Keir Starmer and the Labour Party are about to plunge 1 million people into poverty by cutting benefits for disabled people. These cuts to benefits are being framed as tough choices that they had to make. But the truth is, these decisions are a distraction to what's really going on. That being that the government's looking for anything to make it look like they're doing something, when in actual fact they're refusing to help the people that need it most. It comes across as pure weakness. The government wants you to believe that there's no money for disabled people or to bring people out of poverty, all while they send billions of pounds to Ukraine. But be careful, that's the trick. They want you to think it's a game of this or that, when in actual fact, that's not the choice that has to be made. In this video, I'm going to explain why Keir Starmer's decision to be strong on Ukraine but weak on helping the people that need it most in the UK is exactly why he's going to lose the next election. Instead of investing in our communities and growing the UK economy from the ground up, Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves are deciding to punish, yes, punish the people that need help most. This is because they're frightened of confronting the financial sector, the big bankers and the billionaires by taxing them at the rate they should be. If we just had a 2% tax on those who have over £10 million or more in assets, we'd be raking in over £24 billion a year to the UK economy. To put that in context, Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves' cuts to benefits would only bring in £6 billion for the next 10 years. So to make this clear, the choice isn't between helping Ukraine or helping people here. The choice is between allowing billionaires to get away with creating the mess they've created so far, or taxing them correctly. And the result of that decision means punishing those that need help most, such as disabled people, such as pensioners, and such as children in poverty. And guess what? You're next. Labour do have a choice, and they're choosing to be on the side of billionaires. But why? Well, all you have to do nowadays is follow the money, and you get a pretty good answer. You see, back in 2024, the BBC reported that the Labour Party received its largest ever sum of money from wealthy individuals and companies, £13 million. These people aren't donating to the Labour Party for fun. They're donating because they want something in return. There's a deal to be made here. They don't just want a thank you from Mr. Keir Starmer. It's a warning. Touch our wealth. Tax us if you dare. Because when you do, we're going to pull these donations that you need so badly. And now his government is resorting to not only cutting benefits for disabled people, but outright attacking them in the media.
One of the areas where you are, we understand, going to try and claw back money who's people who've been signed off because of mental health problems. Now, in the last few days, it's interesting. The prominent neurologist, Suzanne O'Sullivan, has said there's overdiagnosis of mental health problems. Your colleague Liz Kendall, when she was here, talked about the problems of self-diagnosis when people feel that they might have a condition. Do you believe, as the Health Secretary, that too many people are being treated as sick and incapable of work for essentially struggling with what are quite normal feelings?
Well, I want to follow the evidence, and I agree with that point about overdiagnosis. But here's the other thing. I mean, mental well-being, illness, it's a spectrum, right? And
but you do think
I think
there's
too many.
overdiagnosis?
I think there's an overdiagnosis, but also there are too many people being written off.
What Mr. Streeting, not Dr. Streeting, by the way, fails to take into account is that the reason why so many people are depressed or anxious in the UK is not because of the lack of health experts or the lack of neurologists in the NHS. It's because people are having a miserable time. Now, that's not to say that some people don't need that help. They don't need the professional help or medication. Of course they do. But you look at the evidence, and the rise in depression and the rise in anxiety correlates with the collapse of the economy over time. Young people have little to no opportunity, and so they are going to be depressed. The way you solve that situation is making sure that people have a society they can enjoy, they can live in. Most people aren't anxious or depressed because they're broken. They're depressed because the system's broken. But after Corbyn, Labour decided that they weren't going to challenge this broken system, and they didn't need our help to do that either. So in 2024, they decided to wait until the Tories inevitably messed up and rode into power, hoping that those billionaire donations and the billionaires that gave them that money would save them and help them grow the economy magically. Lo and behold, it hasn't happened yet, has it? The economy's not growing. Do you feel any richer? I don't. And people are starting to get fed up. And this will probably surprise you most. These cuts are conveniently timed. Did you notice how they've come straight after Starmer has met with both Trump and Zelensky and given money to Ukraine? That's because Starmer wants to portray the image that he's a powerful, strong leader doing everything he can, not in the UK, but abroad. This isn't a new idea. Tony Blair tried it back in the day and it backfired horrifically. In 2003, the UK blindly followed America into the Iraq War, causing fractions in the Middle East that still exist today. That's because Tony Blair thought that this would somehow increase his popularity, because everyone knows during war, prime ministers become slightly more popular. Think Margaret Thatcher during the Falklands. He realised, or perhaps he actually always knew, that he never really had the willingness to challenge the financial sector in the UK in order to bring about the fundamental changes that were required to bring people out of poverty permanently without some other government coming in and wiping it all away immediately, which is what happened in 2010. He found out that he had far more powers abroad, being a strong and powerful prime minister, not by challenging what the powers that be want, but rather doing exactly what they asked of him. And long story short, here comes 2008, a financial crash which happened exactly because Tony Blair decided to ignore the financial sector to follow along with an ideology that lets the market do whatever they want so long as it doesn't interfere with the government. Lo and behold, the markets crashed. People's incomes haven't recovered since. From 2008, things have never been the same in the UK. And if you'd be clever to learn a lesson from it, you'd know that letting the financial markets do whatever they want unrestricted will bring down your economy, because they will take and take and take and leave you the scraps and make sure that people have nothing left. And that's exactly what's happening today. Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves are following along with that same ideology that crashed the economy in 2008. And instead of challenging that, they're deciding to target the people that have nothing to do with it. They're deciding to take from people who have so little that whatever they have left will leave them on the breadline because of their cowardice, because of their inability to challenge that ideology that has caused us so much trouble in the UK. What Keir Starmer doesn't realise is helping billionaires launder their money won't grow the economy. These people fundamentally believe that people on benefits or people in poverty are damaging to society and are taking more than they give. This couldn't be further from the truth. Let me give you an example. When the average person receives their disability benefit, where do you think they're most likely to spend it? That's right, in the shops, on their bills, on travel. So whatever they spend comes back to the government in tax receipts anyway. And it also helps the economy grow because people's businesses are growing as a result. They might spend that money in a local coffee shop or a bookshop. Now let's compare that to the average billionaire. Where do you think they're spending their money that they've managed to suck out of the UK economy? That's right, they're probably buying a super yacht in Italy or a holiday home in Spain. They're probably shuffling that money over to a tax haven in the Cayman Islands. None of which helps the UK economy. And that's why I know that Labour will most likely lose the next election. The economy won't grow, people's wages won't grow, and no one will feel better off as a result. They'll feel betrayed by a Labour government because they will promise change and they're not getting it because they refuse to challenge that ideology that lets the markets do whatever they want. They're frightened of the bankers and billionaires, and they don't want to create change because their idea of change is just letting it happen. And if you let it happen, it won't happen. These people are not to be trusted. They proved it in 2008, they'll prove it again. If you really want to win an election, you don't attack disabled people. You embark on a bold vision, investing in communities, creating new transport links, helping people with depression and anxiety by creating new opportunities, not just leaving them isolated. That's what you need to do. Create a booming society and give people hope. If Labour are really serious about winning the next election, they need to step their game up and stop attacking the most vulnerable people in our society and start going after the wealthiest. If you want more videos like this, check out the videos on my left on your screen. Be sure to check out the channel. Subscribe if you're new around here, like the video, and I'll see you in the next one.